Sir, actually, I do my own share of reading. I read all the things that should be known for tomorrow's trade, which is a segment in ET markets. And I have noticed a particular thing in that segment, that FIs have been buying crores and crores of rupees in equities, and also DIs have been on a selling spree. So I actually feel that whatever the money the FIs have, they have basically invested in stock market, and the stock market has risen to its all-time high because of the FIs, and we are still at the mercy of FIs. If they pull out the money, it's game over.
Akash, I would beg to differ over here. Things have changed for the last 3-4 years. There was times that if FIIs don't pour in money like 5 years back, then our markets couldn't even sustain on a certain level. They were falling like a deck of cards. Today, if you see, DIIs are now in a position to even support the markets because of the crores of influx. So we cannot say that we are completely on the mercy of FIIs. Of course, there are companies like HDFC Bank which has got 74% being operated by FIIs. There are a couple of other companies where they have good stake. But now, slowly, as Modi ji says, we are becoming Atmanirbhar in terms of, yes, even slowly the dependency has started declining. The reason why DIS have been booking is because they have to give the AUM report. There are certain things related to financial year developments which you have to say, the NAV values. So there are a lot of complicated things which goes through them. And then moreover, because see, it happens in cycles. So for a few years, it's the DIIs who are trying to manage. Few years, it's the FIIs. It's a mix of between those things. That's why you are always finding that the buying and selling values between the DIIs and FIIs are more or less close. So if DIIs have bought 300 crore, on most of the days, FIIs would have sold 370 crore, something like that. Most of the days. So that's a sort of balance, equilibrium, which always takes place, because if single-handedly everyone pushes money over this thing, there would be a problem for exit also. So, and moreover, there is a high possibility that because DIIs had actually pushed up good amount of money in the month of February and March, they are probably getting a decent exit. So they don't want to hold it for a very long period of time. They're just churning, getting that profit.
Okay.
Safe ho jate hain. The mistake which we did in Corona was we were not having that much of liquidity. So now let's sit on liquidity. If we get an opportunity, we are going to pour into this thing. And right now there's a bit of absurd valuations. So anyone who's coming for like just investing for 1 or 2 years, maybe the hedge funds and all those things, they might not find so much of lucrative opportunity. Yes, but if you are someone who's aspiring to invest into 5 years, 6 years, 7 years, then there are still opportunities. There will be always opportunities.
As Ray Dalio has said, that recession is by itself is a cycle, and it comes every 8 to 10 years. It should be there to for markets to function properly, and markets to be healthy. A recession has to be there in every 8 to 10 years, and a depression has to be there in every 75 years. And the last depression that we saw was in around 1945, which was the end of World War II, and after that 75 years have passed.
See, first of all, I have a lot of respect for Ray Dalio, but even Ray Dalio in his previous predictions has been wrong at times. There was one time when he completely got wiped off also, that's long back. And he has admitted that that experience himself made him humbled. But I don't see indications of this thing, what we call depression, so close. See, the ratios have been changing. So, for example, earlier the big crashes used to take place every 4 years. Then it came to 8 years. Now, probably it is going to increase in terms of duration. Why? Because multiple factors: the number of liquidity, the number of participation into the market, the way the central banks have formalized their structure and they have started functioning. So, first of all, I don't think so there would be a scene of depression, because I don't see such kind of things. You can see it around. You don't need to look into the market. You can see around. Are the people really starving? Of course, there is a set of people who is starving for food, but that has been always the case in India. Slowly, that is also improving. Okay, so we cannot just take a cherry pick that situation that yes, because I saw 10 beggars today, so that means we are heading towards depression. No. Aren't businesses doing well? Of course, due to Corona, a lot of them may affected. But in the meantime, we see Gautam Adani making $40 billion in a year. We see Mukesh Ambani making another $50 billion in a year. So Amazon, Jeff Bezos making so much. So that means that smart people are able to make money even in this amount of crisis. It's just that the industries are different, more on tech basis, more on petrochemical and all those things. So I don't think so there would be a depression. I do respect Ray Dalio's view, But even Ray Dalio, if I remember in his interview, after this big fall had happened, he had taken big puts, if I'm not wrong, which he probably justified later on Twitter was wrong, but I don't think so it was wrong. He probably had those things, he made money. But then he also had this thing that maybe this entire thing won't get eased off so easily. So we need to understand that we should seek inspiration from all these people, but just because they're saying, so I'll give you an example. Rakesh Jhunjhunwala, you will never find him saying anything negative about the economy. Every time, market is bullish, market is going up. Even in February 2019 or 20, he was like, market is bullish, no way it is going to go down. When it went down, people started mocking him. Again, it went up, market is. And the interesting thing is that even a lot of it has to do with media. So I was reading into an article where in ET only, so where they talked about the amount of fortune the big investors made. I also made a reel day before yesterday on the same thing. Okay, so 1700%, 1200%, 1500%. The interesting part is, why are they calculating it only from March 2020 lows? Why aren't they calculating it from December 2019 or maybe January 2018 when the mid cap and small cap started falling? So media and all these inspirational figures will always try to point out their view, whatever they might be having their own aspirations and biasness. But at the end, first, I don't think so there could be a depression. Second, yes, there could be a sort of recession coming, not so immediately, but in the fine time if this COVID thing doesn't get resolved soon. Because maybe digitally a lot of people are doing well, but anything like a manufacturing space, anything like which needs a physical presence, those things cannot be done at home. Like I cannot go into my garage and build a Maruti ka car. So that's not possible. For that, you have to go to the industry. But if this COVID thing doesn't get eased off so quickly, this might be affected.
And also the banks, right? Because banks have been piling up their NPAs and
they always do this thing. So banks have this habit. So for example, the MSME, the medium and small medium enterprises have been given 3.6 lakh crore rupees, and a lot of banks are expecting there would be a decent amount of defaults. Almost 40,000 crore has been given to hotel industries and hotel and FMCG industry, and they are also expecting there would be a decent amount of default from there, because since no one is going over there to eat into those lavish restaurants, and right now we had just started, okay, a few weeks back, and again all these lockdowns and all those things. So of course, how will they pay the interest? How will they pay the bank? So that is going to be a cycle. But the interesting part about banking system is, as I said, in our country, it's all about politicians, and any ruling party wouldn't let any big bank collapse in their ruling governance. So they make sure that they find some way to again inject liquidity, 5,000 crore ka bailout package, 5,000 crore ka ye package. So that will continue from our taxpayers amount, and we can't do anything, a dime about it. We can only tweet about it, but they are going to do this thing. Okay, I'll give you a very simple example. When the oil prices actually fell in the month of March, the government actually took it at $20 per barrel. Right now it is costing $71 per barrel. That time they took at 430 million barrels of such kind of oil. Nothing was passed on to customers. Customers kept on paying more money for diesel and petrol. Okay, ideally it should be costing not more than 45 rupees. But central tax, state tax, all this cost around 60 rupees, 2-3 rupees for the dealer who was actually paying out. So recently the government actually sent a message internationally that you should actually consider giving us oil at cheap prices because of this pandemic. And they were straight faced. Guys, you took at $21 so much of oil. What happened to this thing? You have not even passed on to the customers. You just kept on cleaning over your fiscal deficits, and now you're expecting that we should again pay you this. I don't want to complicate this thing because there would be a lot of young people looking. In simple thing, recession may come in the next 2-3 years, considering the layoffs which is going to happen. But depression isn't going to come in the near terms. I am also, just like RJ, very bullish on our economy.